We are here to put some respect on Elic Ayomanor's name. He's not getting a ton of hype. I feel like he's lost in the midst of a really tight wide receiver pack. And we're going to make a really strong argument talking about his film, talking about his stats, and getting into some actionable fantasy football advice here on why Elic Ayomanor at his projected ADP could end up being a really, really strong value in your rookie drafts. You excited about him, John?
I am. And when I think of Stanford, in general, I think of the quarterback position over my lifetime. We have John Brody, NFL MVP, Jim Plunkett, Heisman winner, John Elway, Hall of Famer, two-time Super Bowl champ, Andrew Luck, #1 pick by the Colts. And believe it or not, they've had more tight ends than wide receivers in the NFL. This is one of the first times we have actually broken down a Stanford wide receiver, Matt. And I've liked him from last summer. I talked about him in my Devi profiles. I talked about him on shows we did together. I have him in both my Devi leagues. The young man is from Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. And up north, he excelled in track and field before moving down to Massachusetts. And in 2018, he was on Team Alberta that won the Canada West National Championship. In 2019, he was ranked number 8 in Canada in the 200 meters. He was a top 10 recruit once he went down to Massachusetts, and he was the 91st ranked receiver in the nation coming out of high school. Matt, I'm kind of surprised when people were shocked by his 40 time and his speed. I'm like, you do know he has a track background, right? But maybe people weren't doing their research. I'm not sure, because I do see it on film. And in 2023, as a redshirt freshman, he snatched 62 passes for a career high 1,013 yards. And he was the first Cardinal to surpass 1,000 yards since 2018. He also added 6 touchdowns while averaging 16.3 yards per catch. The redshirt freshman earned all Pac-12 honorable mention, first team freshman All-American by PFF, and the John Cornish Trophy at Stanford. Also, everyone, just get some tape of the game against Colorado and Travis Hunter. You will enjoy the highlights of the game. He set a school record with 294 receiving yards. And in his sophomore season, he topped the 100-yard mark 3 times. In 2024, his numbers went down, but Matt, we've talked about context. The Stanford quarterbacks did no favors to Ayomanor. He had 63 catches for 831 yards and 6 touchdowns. He had another 300-yard games, and he averaged 13.2 yards per catch. The redshirt sophomore garnered second team All-AC. Remember, everyone, Stanford moved into the ACC when the Pac-12 kind of shrank, collapsed, whatever we call that. He won the Tommy Vardell Award for excellence in the classroom and on the field at Stanford, and he also collected the team's most outstanding sophomore award. Matt, I really like this young man. He's been very good. He's a classic X-receiver. I know you kind of come around to him watching the film. What do you want the viewers to know about this young man?
Hey, now, I liked him on our Devi shows, too. We've been talking about him for a while. And when you watch his tape, we're going to flip it on in a second, kind of break down the way he wins. But just to orient you a little bit, set you up for the film here, you're going to see a reliable receiver. You're going to see somebody who wins in a variety of ways. You mentioned he absolutely can play as an X. I also think, depending on the offense, he could play in more of a flanker type role. I think he's the type of guy who could make a really, really nice wide receiver 2 on an offense. You put him opposite of even a bigger framed receiver that lives more along the boundary. I think he could almost be like a Chris Godwin to a Mike Evans. Like, there's a lot of versatility there in the way that he wins. Take a look here at his film, and we're going to start right off the bat. You're seeing his ability to win on this corner route deep downfield. He absolutely can win at all three levels of the field, but I think he's particularly impressive in the first third and the deep third of the field. You can see that slant route here. He works a really nice slant route in particular, and I think it shows up with his release. He's got physical hands on his release, and he wins the first step. But look at this ball tracking and adjustment here on this touchdown pass against NC State.
That's beautiful.
That's something you'll see really consistent, and I think that's why John refers to him as an X. Again, here, we're going to see a really nice, we ran this one back. I had to show this one twice here. You can see his ability to adjust late, and that is X boundary receiver type behavior. Look at his ability. He catches this ball in triple coverage, does not get phased by it. Good athletic fluidity as well. He's got that sidestep. His speed, he's not going to look the absolute fastest. John mentioned that, but I think he accelerates very well moving downfield, and that's where the track background shows up. Look at this. I mean, he's got 3 steps on this NC State defender. The ball is way underthrown, and he still has an extra step to work with because he just gets off the line of scrimmage that well. We're going to run this one back again. Look at that. That is excellent. He catches the ball in stride well. He's got a high motor. He scraps through the end of the play. He finishes finishes through the play, scrapping for those extra yards. You're going to see somebody who has a nice catch radius and somebody who reacts well to balls thrown off target. He can look a little rigid at times. I almost feel like that's why folks think he's slow. It's because he's a little rigid. Yes. But overall, athletically, he is fluid. We saw an example of a good sidestep after the catch, catching the ball in stride. He does a lot of things well, and he's got some categories that will really help him stand out compared to the competition at the next level. But John, nobody stands out compared to the competition like the resources available over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. We have 2025 seasonal projections live now. The 100+ page rookie guide dropping April 1st. We have our 130 rookies ranked with 80 rookie profile articles available on our website. Dynasty rankings, Devy rankings, personalized advice for your roster, trades, draft picks, overhauls, all in the Rookie Big Board Discord. All of that, and actually more. I didn't even get to the full list. All of that is available at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. Whether you're watching this episode or listening to this episode, the link will be in the episode description. And if this is your 3rd, 4th, 15th rookie profile that you're watching of this draft cycle, folks, you have to head on over there. You have to support, and you have to get ahead of your league mates, ultimately, because there's no better way to do it, no better value for just $5 a month. All right, John, let's get into the stat profile here, because you mentioned it. Stanford, West Coast offense. Sometimes teams or folks aren't as familiar with that time zone, watching those types of teams. What do the stats look like in kind of a funky offense?
Yeah, and unfortunately, the passes were often funky. And I usually think about this for the quarterback position, competitive toughness. I do believe that Ayomanor has had such poor quarterback play, Matt. He's learned to excel despite all of the poor passing around him. He is really good at off-target throws, and he contorts his body with outstanding body control, which we saw on some of those highlights. Can you imagine if he had an accurate passer like a Joe Burrow just laying the ball into him? I mean, the jump he could take in production. And my model says this young man is really nice. He's 6'1", 206. That is really nice size. We saw him. He's not afraid to go cut that mean slant, as Matt likes to say. He's taken some big hits, right? You see 2 or 3 receivers, and he catches the ball. I've mentioned it before. I like when yards per reception and PFF A-dot match. He has a 14.8 yards per reception and a 14.2 A-dot. Bingo. That is really nice. Context. 57% catch rate. I'm not really concerned about that. I understand the offense that he played in. Matt, you got to have context. I think he's got good hands. I'm not sitting there saying he's dropping a bunch of balls, right? So I'm happy, even though the number might look a little less than you might prefer, that I might prefer. But he dominated with 36% of the aerial game for the Cardinals. And his receiving yards per team pass attempt are a little bit low at 2.24, but I'm okay with it because of the structure of the offense. I have a second round grade. I would not be surprised if he goes in first if a team falls in love and they need an X. But Matt, most importantly, should fantasy fans fall in love with him?
Absolutely. Let's put it all into context here, into actionable fantasy football advice, because that's what we are all about here at the Rookie Big Board. You mentioned it, John, day two grade for me as well. I think there is,
Okay.
a 99% possibility he is not going to get into day three of this draft. He is too good of a player, and we know the NFL is high on him. He had a nice showing at the combine to round that out. The thing about it, John, we've talked about a lot of good wide receivers, and we've got more up here in the rookie profiles. There is going to have to be a decision made for fantasy football managers. Ayomanor, he's going to fall in this pack here with, Xavier Restrepo, with guys like, Jaden Higgins, right? These mid to late second round wide receivers. And it's just a reflection of how strong the wide receiver group is. Like a Jalen Royals is going to be in this, Isaiah Bond. There's going to be a lot of guys. And because of that, I think Ayomanor is going to slide to the late second round in terms of Superflex ADP, which speaks very highly to the value of your rookie picks overall. But it also creates a really nice value point. And, we talk about all the time, we get feedback. We don't want to just hype everybody up. And so that's what I'm saying. It's a nice value point. It's a good value point for Ayomanor. I think it really matches what he can bring to your roster, which for me, I'm projecting him as a weekly starter. So a low-end wide receiver 2, a high-end wide receiver 3, wide receiver 20 to wide receiver 28. Let's put him there. And if that's the type of production that you could get directly into your fantasy football lineup with a late second round pick, that should really excite you. That excites me.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you are an Ayomanor fan, maybe you want to take him 201. I think you could wait a little bit, and I think you could get some really good value out of him. I compare him to Amari Cooper in terms of my fantasy value. And obviously there's a little bit of fluidity there because Cooper had a little bit of a down period. But so you look at the type of player that he could be, the type of way he could produce. You're looking at, the type of contribution that Amari Cooper had. Maybe not as high of a ceiling, but that level of production, in recent years for Amari Cooper, I think is a realistic expectation for Ayomanor. And that's a really nice value to get in the second round. Of course, not as nice as the value that you could get as a Rookie Big Board patron. Get access to the Discord, to the rookie guide, to the seasonal projections, to the rookie Devi Dynasty rankings, all of that for just $5 a month or 15% off now with an annual membership. The link will be in the episode description, and we are going to be at it all draft season long with the FF Educator and the Gridiron Scholar. Class is in session, and we're going to be back real soon with another rookie profile.